I spent 26 years perfecting my English, and I can tell you this: becoming fluent in English isn't about talent or living abroad, it's about having the right system. Today, I'm sharing the exact system that helped me achieve fluency in English. I'm going to show you what's the optimal daily practice routine for English learning, how much time do you actually need each day, what to do when you stop seeing progress, how to stay motivated for the long run, and how to know when you've reached fluency. But first, why do some people study for years but still struggle to speak fluently? Think about it this way: when you're training for a marathon, it's simple, you just need to run more. Want to learn to drive? Just practice driving until it becomes natural. But learning English? That's a whole different story. You're not just learning one thing, you're actually juggling 7 different skills at once: reading, writing, speaking, listening, vocabulary, grammar, and pronunciation. And here's the real challenge: each of these skills takes time to master. A lot of time. When people ask me, how much time should I spend learning English each day? What they're really saying is, look, I'm busy. How can I make the most of the little time I have? Let's be honest, unless you can spend 7 hours a day practicing each skill, and who can, you need a smarter approach. Most people try to master everything at once, they get overwhelmed, and then they give up after a few weeks. The secret? You need to know which skills matter most for your goals. That way, you can focus your time on what really counts and actually see progress. But how do you know which English skills really matter for you? Here's a way to think about it that changed everything for me. Imagine you're planning a road trip. You've got your car ready, full tank of fuel, and you're excited to get going. Now, you've got 2 options. Option 1, just start driving and see where you end up. Sounds fun, right? But wait, you won't know how much fuel you'll need, you can't tell if you're going the right way, you might waste time going in circles, and you'll never know when you've actually made it. Option 2, pick your destination first, and everything becomes clear. You can plan the best route, you know exactly what you need, you can track your progress, and you'll know when you've reached your goal. When you set a clear goal, you can focus on the skills that will actually get you there. Everything else? It can wait. Let me show you how this works in real life. Here's my situation. I'm in business with meetings all day long, so what really matters for me? Listening, speaking, and vocabulary, these are my priorities. Because here's the thing, if I can master these core skills, I'll be able to confidently share my ideas, express my opinions clearly, and fully engage in any conversation. It's all about understanding what people are saying and being able to respond effectively. Now, here's the clever part, knowing what not to focus on. Sure, I write loads of emails, but guess what? I use Grammarly and AI for that. Reading business emails? It's easy enough. Complex grammar? Not really needed in business. Keeping it simple always works better. And pronunciation? As long as people understand me, I'd rather spend that time learning useful vocabulary than trying to sound like a native speaker. By knowing exactly what matters for you, you can focus your energy where it counts and avoid burning out trying to master everything at once. Now, knowing what to focus on is great, but without a daily routine you actually enjoy, you won't get far. So how do you create one? Here's the thing about creating your routine. It needs to work for you, not just look good on paper. Let me share something funny. You know how many people, including me, have tried following their favorite YouTuber's perfect routine, only to give up after a few days? Those YouTubers make everything look so easy, don't they? Sure, YouTube's full of great advice, but here's a perfect example. Everyone says, reading books is amazing for improving your English. And it is. But if you hate reading books, you won't stick with it. Simple as that. I tried reading in English several times, but I could barely make it to page 10. I never went for those learner-friendly books either. You know, the ones that are designed for your level? No, I went straight for the complex stuff, like Stephen King and Game of Thrones, that kind of stuff. There I was, looking up every second word because it was new to me. People say, only look up the important words, but I just couldn't stop myself. I was scared of missing something important. It was torture, honestly. So what did I do? I switched to magazines and blogs about my work. I'm still reading them today. The point: be real with yourself. Do what you actually enjoy doing in English. Let me show you how the system works from start to finish. Step 1. Define your goals. Let's say you want to make friends from the US or UK, and you also want to leave meaningful comments on social media. Step 2. Identify your core skills. For these goals, you'll need speaking, listening, vocabulary, and writing. Step 3. Choose tasks you actually enjoy. Let's say you like watching YouTube. How did I guess? Here's a perfect example. Pick a vlog you like and try this. Write down what people say word for word to improve your listening. Spot unfamiliar words? Brilliant! Create full sentences with them to build vocabulary and writing. And give a quick 1-minute summary of the video to develop speaking. Just like that, you've spent an hour improving all your core skills and got closer to your goals while doing something you actually enjoy. If you need some inspiration, I've put together some ideas you might want to try. Test them out for a few days. If you're forcing yourself to do it, drop it and try something else. The link is in the description below. So there are tons of ways to learn English, and the best one is the one you'll actually stick with. But what do you do when you feel stuck? Like you're putting in the hours, but getting nowhere. I've hit this wall loads of times while learning English. Here's what happened to me. I was getting really good at listening. Podcasts, YouTube, audiobooks, you name it. But then came the reality check at work. I'd be in meetings about complex topics, and guess what? Even though I could hear every single word clearly, my brain just couldn't keep up. While I was still processing what someone just said, there were already 2 sentences ahead. I needed my brain to process fast speech without getting overwhelmed. So I started playing Final Fantasy and tried to translate the cutscenes into Russian in real time. It was incredibly challenging at first, but it turned out to be exactly what I needed. After some time, my brain was starting to process English much faster. Things that used to overwhelm me were becoming clearer, and I could follow conversations without falling behind. Here's the thing, even when you've got a great practice routine, you'll need to change it up every time you hit a wall. For example, if podcasts are getting too easy, why not try audiobooks or bump up the speed? Writing a diary? Challenge yourself to write in different styles. Using Anki cards? Try creating full sentences with your new words to memorize them better. I've included some advanced activities in a PDF below specifically designed to help you break through that plateau. So you've got your goals all figured out and a plan to reach them. That's fantastic! You even know what to do when things don't go according to plan. But here's the tricky part. How do you actually stay motivated? Don't worry, I'll show you exactly how to do that. Let's talk about passion first. When you first start learning a language, everything feels exciting. Each new word is a discovery. Each successful conversation is a victory. But here's what happens. The further you progress, the more challenging it becomes. The simple conversations turn into complex discussions. Basic grammar transforms into intricate rules with countless exceptions. And that's exactly when passion alone won't cut it. You need something more sustainable. Something that keeps you going even when motivation dips. Here are 3 things that work for me, but they're not for everyone. But hopefully they'll inspire you and help you think about something that you can do. Number 1 is to move to an English-speaking country. Now, here's something fascinating about immersion that most people get wrong. Many think it's all about having more opportunities to speak English, but let me tell you about my experience. It's actually something entirely different. When I first moved to an English-speaking country, I noticed something interesting. Many immigrants actually spent most of their time within their communities. Some even live quite isolated lives. They don't really go to pubs or visit public places to have conversations with native speakers. So what makes the difference? It's the absolute necessity of English in crucial moments. Think about this. You're at work and you need to express a complex idea to your colleagues. There is no room for miscommunication. or you're at the doctor's appointment trying to describe your symptoms, or you're dealing with a difficult landlord about property issues. These aren't just conversations, they are survival needs. Let me share a personal story that changed everything. When I first moved, my accent was, well, let's say, challenging. People would constantly ask me to repeat myself. It was frustrating, sometimes even humiliating. But here's the beautiful part: that frustration became my biggest motivator. I started working on my pronunciation not because of passion, but because I needed to be understood. And eventually, those requests to repeat myself turned into compliments about my English. Number two is teaching English. Let me take you back to 2014. This was before online language learning exploded. Here's how it happened. I found someone who was running language groups and needed help. They wanted to expand their classes, and I volunteered to teach one class per week. Now, this might sound simple, but it was absolutely transformative. When you're learning for yourself, it's easy to skip a day, make excuses, or take shortcuts. But when you're responsible for other people's learning, everything changes. I had to thoroughly prepare each lesson, master the content completely before teaching it, stay consistent even when I didn't feel like it, research and understand concepts deeply enough to explain them. This accountability became my strongest motivator. Even on days when I had zero interest in learning English, I knew I had to prepare for my class. I couldn't let my students down. Number three, create something exceptional. Now, this last strategy is specifically for those at upper intermediate level pushing towards advanced. It's about creating something truly exceptional in English. For example, starting a YouTube channel or podcast might sound intimidating, but that's exactly why it's so effective. Let me break down why this works so well. You have to script and plan your content thoroughly. Your pronunciation needs to be crystal clear. You must handle complex topics fluently. There is no room for major language errors. Another powerful approach is starting an online business or offering services internationally. This pushes you to write professional communications, handle customer service in English, create marketing campaigns, navigate business terminology, and build professional relationships. Here's something crucial to remember. Your path won't look exactly like mine or anyone else's, and that's perfectly fine. The key is understanding these principles and adapting them to your situation. Remember this: sustainable motivation isn't about feeling constantly inspired. It's about creating situations where progress becomes inevitable. Now, how do you know when you've actually achieved fluency? Let me share something that might surprise you. I've been learning English for over 2 decades, and I still encounter moments that leave me puzzled. New phrases I've never heard, conversations where I struggle to find the right words, pronunciation that trips me up. You won't hear this from many English teachers, and I understand why. There is immense pressure to appear perfect, to maintain this image of complete mastery. But here's what's really happening. Even after 26 years, I discover new language nuances. Sometimes I stumble in casual conversations with neighbors. Small talk can feel challenging. Certain social situations still make me nervous. Many English teachers feel compelled to project an image of complete mastery. They rarely share their struggles or moments of uncertainty. While I understand this instinct, it creates an unrealistic expectation for learners. Instead of chasing this mythical complete fluency, I want to suggest a more practical approach. Become exceptional at what matters most to you. Let me paint a picture. Imagine you've just landed a job at an international company. You need to handle client calls, make sale presentation, communicate strategies, give recommendations. Here's the crucial insight. Merely studying general English won't make you brilliant at these specific skills. You need targeted practice in these areas. Think about it this way. Being good at English doesn't automatically make you good at sales. And being good at sales in your native language doesn't automatically translate to being good at sales in English. You need to develop both simultaneously. Let me share something fascinating from a book I recently read about simultaneous interpretation. It challenges everything we typically believe about language mastery. Different language skills serve different purposes, and there is no automatic correlation between acquiring one skill and acquiring another. Many interpreters are not bilingual, and many bilinguals aren't capable of simultaneous interpretation. So, interpreter success isn't about perfect English. They need to deeply understand cultural references, recognize patterns in how people communicate, and master specific interpretation techniques. And their English doesn't need to be absolutely perfect. Instead, they excel in their specific skill set. Let's get really honest about what matters in your language journey. Take a moment to think in which situations do you actually need to use English. Perhaps it's for leading team meetings, or maybe it's for writing research papers. Think about those crucial conversations that could change your career or life. These are your real markers of success. So here's my humble opinion. You've reached fluency when you can handle your key situations without second-guessing yourself. When you walk into that important meeting feeling confident, not anxious. When you achieve your goals effectively without language holding you back. That's real fluency. You don't need to be perfect at everything. In fact, it's completely normal to excel in some areas while finding others challenging. You might be brilliant at delivering business presentations, but struggle with casual pub chat. Or perhaps you can discuss technical specifications flawlessly, but feel lost in a conversation about the latest TV shows. This is not a failure, it's a natural result of focusing your energy where it matters most. Just like a surgeon doesn't need to be an expert at baking, you don't need to master every aspect of English. What matters is excelling in the areas that truly impact your life and goals. If you want to learn more techniques that I use to improve my English, check out this video where I explain how I scored Band 8 in IELTS in just 10 days. Until next time,